Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshama Krishna 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 Pahima Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Apavitra Pavitra Va Sarva Avastangatopi Va Yat Smaret Pundarik Akshang Sabaya Abhyantara Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Om Ajnana Timarandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat Kripatamahang Vande Parama Ananda Madhavam Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Eva Sahishnuna Mamanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So, last week, we heard how Sudama reached Dwaraka and entered the palace of Krishna's principal queen, Rukmini. We heard how Krishna could see Sudama coming from a distance, and Krishna sat Sudama on his bed, and Krishna washed the feet of Sudama, and Krishna and all the family members, they took that water and sprinkled it on their head. And then there was a conversation between Krishna and Sudama, where Krishna reminisced about their childhood days at the Gurukula of Sandipani Muni. And Krishna told the story how they were sent out one day by the wife of Sandipani Muni to collect firewood for the sacrifice. But then there was a great storm. Krishna said actually it was a kind of devastation. And so they could not get back to the home of the Guru. So they had to spend the whole night in the forest. And they were holding each other's hand. And in the morning, Sandipani Muni and other disciples, they came and they got Krishna and Sudama. And Sandipani Muni blessed that, yes, it's so nice to have disciples like you, that you sacrifice your own body, your own health, just to serve the spiritual master. So Sandipani Muni blessed Krishna and Sudama. So now we pick up from there. The Leela continues. This episode is entitled, Lord Krishna Snatches the Bundle of Chipped Rice. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul of all living entities, knows everyone's heart very well. Krishna is especially kind to the Brahmana devotees. After all, Lord Krishna is also called Brahmanya Deva, which means that Krishna is worshipped by Brahmanas. Therefore, it is understood that a devotee who is fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead must have already acquired the position of a Brahmana. For without becoming a Brahmana, one cannot approach the Supreme Brahman, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is especially concerned with vanquishing the distress of his devotees. And therefore, one of Krishna's names is Hari. And Krishna is the only shelter of pure devotees. Shukadeva Goswami now continued to speak to Maharaj Parikshit. Lord Krishna engaged for a long time in talking with Sudama Vipra about their past association. Then, just to enjoy the company of an old friend, Lord Krishna began smiling and asked, "So, my dear friend, what have you brought for me? Has your wife given you some nice eatable for me?" While addressing his friend Sudama, Lord Krishna looked upon Sudama, smiling with great love. Krishna continued to speak. "Oh, my dear friend, you must have brought some presentation for me from your home." Krishna knew that Sudama was hesitating to present him the paltry chipped rice, which was actually unfit for Krishna's eating. Understanding the mind of Sudama Vipra, Krishna then said, My dear friend, you should know that I am certainly not in need of anything. But if my devotee gives me something as an offering of love, even though it may be very insignificant, I accept that with great pleasure. On the other hand, if a person is not a devotee, even though he or she may offer me very valuable things, actually, I do not like to accept them. I actually accept only things offered to me in devotion and love. Otherwise, however valuable a thing may be, I do not accept it. If my pure devotee offers me even the most insignificant thing, like a little flower, a little piece of leaf, a little water, but saturates the offering in devotional love, then not only do I gladly accept such an offering, but I eat it with great pleasure. In this way, Krishna assured Sudama Vipra that Krishna would be very glad to accept the chipped rice Sudama had brought from home. And yet, out of great shyness, Sudama Vipra hesitated to present it to Krishna. Sudama was thinking, how can I offer such insignificant things to Krishna? So instead, Sudama simply bowed his head. But Lord Krishna, Paramatma, the Super Soul, knows everything in everyone's heart. Krishna knows everyone's determination and everyone's want. Krishna knew, therefore, the actual reason for Sudama Vipra's coming to Krishna. Krishna knew that being driven by extreme poverty, Sudama had come there at the request of his wife. Thinking of Sudama as his very dear class friend, Krishna knew that Sudama's love for Krishna as a friend was never tainted by any desire for material benefit. Krishna then began thinking, yes, Sudama has not come asking anything from me. Being obliged by the request of his wife, Sudama has come to see me, just to please her. Lord Krishna therefore decided that he would give more material opulence to Sudama Vipra than could be imagined even by the King of Heaven. Krishna then snatched the bundle of chipped rice which was hanging on the shoulder of the poor Brahmana, Sudama, which was packed in one corner of his wrapper. And Krishna said, "What is this? Oh, my dear friend Sudama, you have brought me nice, palatable chipped rice." Krishna further encouraged Sudama Vipra by saying, "Oh, I consider that this quantity of chipped rice will satisfy not only me, but the whole creation." It is understood from this statement that Krishna, being the original source of everything, is the root of the entire creation. As watering the root of a tree immediately distributes water to every part of the tree, so an offering made to Krishna or any action done for Krishna is to be considered the highest welfare work for everyone, because the benefit of such an offering is distributed throughout the creation. Love for Krishna is thus distributed to all living entities. So while Lord Krishna was speaking to Sudama Vipra, Krishna ate one morsel of chipped rice from Sudama's bundle. And when Krishna attempted to eat a second morsel, Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune herself, checked Krishna by catching hold of Krishna's hand. After touching the hand of Krishna, Rukmini spoke. "My dear Lord, this one morsel of chipped rice is sufficient to cause one who offered it to become very opulent in this life and then continue one's opulence in the next life. My Lord, you are so kind to your devotee that even this one morsel of chipped rice pleases you very greatly, and your pleasure assures the devotee opulence both in this life and in the next life." This indicates that when food is offered to Lord Krishna with love and devotion, and if Krishna is pleased and accepts it from the devotee, then Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, becomes so greatly obliged to that devotee that the goddess of fortune has to go personally to the devotee's home to turn it into the most opulent home in the world. So if one feeds Narayana sumptuously, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, automatically becomes a guest in one's house, which means that one's house becomes opulent. The learned Brahmana Sudama passed that night at the house of Lord Krishna, and while there, Sudama felt as if he were living in a Vaikuntha planet. Actually, Sudama was living in Vaikuntha because wherever Lord Krishna, the original Narayana, and Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, when they live together, that place is non-different from the spiritual planets Vaikuntha Loka. However, the learned Brahmana Sudama did not appear to have received anything substantial while being at Krishna's palace. Still, Sudama did not ask anything from Krishna. So this next is the notes from the Bhagavatam on this particular section that we just read. Since Lord Krishna knows the minds of everyone, Krishna could tell at once that his friend Sudama had brought some flat rice for him, but was ashamed to present it. Lord Krishna smiled at this moment, thinking, "Yes, I am going to make you show what you have brought for me." Krishna's smile then turned to laughter, as Krishna thought, "How long are you going to keep this precious gift hidden in your cloth?" Krishna then glanced towards the bundle hidden inside his friend's garment, telling Sudama by his loving glance, "The veins showing through your emaciated skin and your ragged clothes astonish everyone present. But these symptoms of poverty will only last until tomorrow morning." Although Lord Krishna is Bhagavan, the supreme independent Lord, Krishna is always pleased to reciprocate with those who are Priya, Krishna's cherished servants. As the indulgent patron of the Brahmana class, Krishna especially enjoys favoring Brahmanas who are additionally qualified by unconditional devotion to him. So herein is a reply to Sudama's anxiety that his bringing such an unfit offering was ill-considered. The use of the words bhaktya prayachati and bhakti uparitam may seem redundant, since they both mean offered with devotion. But the word bhaktya can also indicate how Krishna reciprocates the devotional mood of whoever offers Krishna something with love. In other words, Lord Krishna herein declares that his reciprocation in a pure loving exchange is not dependent on the external quality of what is being offered. Krishna also said in this section, something may or may not be impressive and pleasing in its own right, but when my devotee offers it to me in devotion with the expectation that I will enjoy it, that gives me great pleasure. In this regard, I make no discrimination. The verb ashnami, or I eat, implies that Lord Krishna eats even a flower which is supposed to be smelled, bewildered as he is by the ecstatic love Krishna feels for his devotee. Someone might then question Krishna, so will you refuse an offering made to you by a devotee of some other deity? Lord Krishna then answers, yes, I will refuse to eat it. So, by this the Lord states, using the word prayatmanaha, implying only by devotional service to me can one become pure in heart. The description here of Krishna as husband of the goddess of fortune implies that Sudama questioned himself, how can the Lord of Sri eat this hard, stale rice? And by bowing his head, Sudama revealed his meditation. My dear master, please do not make me ashamed. Even if you request it from me repeatedly, I will not give this to you. I have thus made up my mind. But Krishna countered with his own thought. No, the intention you had fixed in your mind while coming here must not be frustrated, for you are my devotee. Also, the Lord momentarily wondered, how has it come about, despite my omniscience, that this devotee of mine has fallen into such poverty? Queen Rukmini took hold of Krishna's hand to prevent Krishna from eating any more of the flat rice. With this gesture, Rukmini meant to tell Krishna, this much of your grace is sufficient to assure anyone vast riches, which are merely the play of my glance. But please do not force me to surrender myself to this Brahmana, as will happen if you eat even just one more handful. But by taking hold of Krishna's hand, Rukmini implied, if you eat all of this wonderful treat your friend brought from his house, what will I have left for my friends, co-wives, servants, and even myself? There will not be enough left to distribute even one grain to each of us. And to her maidservant companions, by her gesture, Rukmini said, "No, no, no, no. This hard rice will upset Krishna's tender stomach." Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This section is called Sudama Vipra's Realizations and Prayers. And so the next morning, Sudama started for his home, thinking always about his reception by Krishna. And thus Sudama was merged in transcendental bliss. Lord Krishna accompanied Sudama on the road for a short distance, and then finally parted with Sudama after bowing down to the Brahmana and then speaking some respectful words. All the way home, Sudama simply remembered the dealings of Krishna, and Sudama felt very happy to have seen Krishna. The Brahmana Sudama then began thinking, "It is most pleasurable to see Lord Krishna, who is most devoted to the Brahmanas. How great a lover Krishna is of Brahminical culture. Krishna is the supreme Brahman himself, yet Krishna reciprocates with the Brahmanas. Krishna also respects the Brahmanas so much that Krishna embraced to his chest such a poor Brahmana as me, although Krishna never embraces anyone to his chest except the goddess of fortune. How can there be any comparison between me, a poor sinful Brahmana, and the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the only shelter of the goddess of fortune? And yet, considering me a Brahmana, Krishna embraced me with heartfelt pleasure in his two transcendental arms. Lord Krishna was so kind to me that Krishna allowed me to sit down on the same bedstead where the goddess of fortune lies down. Krishna considered me his real brother. How can I appreciate actually my obligation to Krishna? And when I was tired, Rukmini, the goddess of fortune, began fanning me, holding the chamara wrist in her own hand. Rukmini never considered her exalted position as the first queen of Lord Krishna. I was rendered service by the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of Krishna's high regard for the Brahmanas. And by massaging my legs and feeding me with his own hand, why, Krishna practically worshipped me. In my opinion, aspiring for elevation to the heavenly planets, aspiring for liberation, aspiring all kinds of material opulence, or aspiring for perfection in the powers of mystic yoga, everyone throughout the universe worships the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Yet, Krishna was so kind to me that Krishna did not give me even a farthing, knowing very well that I am poverty-stricken, who, if I got some money, I might become puffed up and mad after material opulence and thus forget Krishna. This last statement of the Brahmana Sudamana is most correct. An ordinary man who is very poor and who prays to Krishna for benediction in material opulence and who somehow or other becomes richer in material opulence, many times immediately forgets one's obligation to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna does not offer opulences to his devotee unless the devotee is thoroughly tested. Rather, if a new devotee serves Krishna very sincerely, but at the same time wants material opulence, Krishna keeps one from actually obtaining it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this final episode is entitled Sudama Vipra, Blessed by Lord Krishna. Shukadeva Goswami continued narrating the story to Maharaj Parikshit. Thinking in this way, the learned Brahmana gradually reached his own home. But there, Sudama now saw that everything had wonderfully changed. In place of his cottage, Sudama saw that now there were big palaces made of valuable stones and jewels, glittering like the sun, moon, and rays of fire. Not only were there big palaces, but at intervals there were beautifully decorated parks in which many beautiful men and women were strolling. In those parks, there were nice lakes full of lotus flowers and beautiful lilies. And there were flocks of multicolored birds. Seeing the wonderful conversion of his native place, Sudama began thinking to himself, how am I seeing all these changes? Does this place belong to me or to someone else? If it is the same place where I used to live, then how has it so wonderfully changed? While the learned Brahmana was considering all this, a group of beautiful men and women with features resembling those of demigods, accompanied by musical singers, approached Sudama and welcomed him. All were singing auspicious songs. Sudama's wife was very glad upon hearing the tidings of her husband's arrival, and so with great haste she came out of the palace. Sudama's wife appeared so beautiful that it seemed as if the goddess of fortune herself had come to receive Sudama. And as soon as she saw her husband present before her, tears of joy fell from her eyes. Her voice became so choked up that she could not even address Sudama. She simply closed her eyes in ecstasy. But with great love and affection, she bowed down before her husband, and within herself she thought of embracing Sudama. She was fully decorated with a gold necklace and ornaments, and while standing among the maidservants, she appeared like the wife of some demigod just alighting from an airplane. Sudama was surprised to see his wife so beautiful, and so in great affection, and without saying a word, Sudama entered the palace along with her. When Sudama entered his personal apartment in the palace, Sudama saw that it was not an apartment, but the residence of the King of Heaven. The palace was surrounded by many columns of jewels. The couches and bedsteads were made of ivory, bedecked with gold and jewels, and the bedding was as white as the foam of milk and as soft as a lotus. There were many whisks hanging from golden rods, and many golden thrones with sitting cushions as soft as lotus flowers. In various places there were velvet and silken canopies with laces of pearls hanging all around. The structure of the building stood on excellent transparent marble with engravings made of emerald stones. All the women in the palace carried lamps made of valuable jewels. The flames and the jewels combined to produce a wonderfully brilliant light. When Sudama saw his position suddenly changed to one of opulence, and when Sudama could not determine the cause for such a sudden change, Sudama began considering very gravely how it must have happened. Sudama thus began thinking, "From the beginning of my life, I have been extremely poverty-stricken. So what could be the cause of such great and sudden opulence? I do not find any cause other than the all-merciful glance of my friend, Lord Krishna, chief of the Yadu dynasty. Certainly these are gifts of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy. The Lord is self-sufficient, for he is the husband of the goddess of fortune. Thus Krishna is always full with such opulences. Indeed, Lord Krishna can easily understand the mind of his devotee, and Krishna sumptuously fulfills the devotee's desires. All these are acts of my friend, Lord Krishna. My beautiful dark friend Krishna is far more liberal than the cloud, which can fill the great ocean with water. Without disturbing the cultivator with rain during the day, the cloud brings liberal rain at night just to satisfy the farmer. And yet when the cultivator wakes up in the morning, he thinks that it has not rained enough. Similarly, Lord Krishna fulfills the desire of everyone according to his or her position. And yet, one who is not in Krishna consciousness considers all the gifts of Krishna to be less than what one desires. On the other hand, when Lord Krishna receives even a little thing in love and affection from his devotee, Krishna considers it a great and valuable gift. The vivid example is myself, for I simply offered Krishna a morsel of chipped rice, and in exchange, Krishna has given me opulences greater than the opulence of the King of Heaven. Srila Prabhupada now comments, what the devotee actually offers the Lord is not needed by the Lord, for Lord Krishna is Aptakam, Aptaram, Atmaram, self-sufficient. If the devotee offers something to the Lord, it acts for one's own interest. Because whatever a devotee offers the Lord comes back in a quantity millions of times greater than what was offered. One does not become a loser by giving something to the Lord. Instead, one becomes a gainer by millions of times. this paragraph by Prabhupada is so special. I want to read it again. I am stunned by this paragraph. Wow. What the devotee actually offers the Lord is not needed by the Lord, for Krishna is self-sufficient, Atmarama, Aptakama. If the devotee offers something to the Lord, it acts for one's own interest, because whatever a devotee offers the Lord comes back in a quantity millions of times greater than what was offered. One does not become a loser by giving to the Lord. Instead, one becomes a gainer by millions of times. Shukadeva Goswami continued speaking. Sudama, feeling great obligation to Krishna, now thought, I now pray to have the friendship of Lord Krishna and to engage in his service and to fully surrender unto Krishna in love and affection, life after life. I do not want any opulence. I only desire never to forget Krishna's service. I simply wish to be associated with Krishna's pure devotees. May my mind and activities be always engaged in Krishna's service. The unborn Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, knows that many great personalities have fallen from their positions because of extravagant opulence. Therefore, even when Krishna's devotee asks for some opulence from Krishna, Krishna sometimes does not give it, because Krishna is very cautious about his devotees. Since a devotee in an immature position of devotional service may, if offered great opulence, fall from one's position due to being in the material world, then the Lord does not offer opulence to that devotee who is immature. But this is another manifestation of the causeless mercy of the Lord upon his devotee. That is because Krishna's first interest is that the devotee does not fall. Krishna's first interest is that the devotee not fall. Krishna is exactly like a well-wishing father who does not give much wealth into the hand of his immature son. But when the son is grown up and knows how to spend money, then the father gives that son the whole treasury house. The learned Brahmana Sudama thus concluded that whatever opulences he had received from Krishna should be used not for his extravagant sense gratification, but for the service of the Lord. The Brahmana Sudama accepted his newly acquired opulence, but Sudama did so in a spirit of renunciation, unattached to sense gratification. Thus, Sudama lived very peacefully with his wife, enjoying all the facilities of his new opulence, taking it as prasadam of the Lord. Sudama enjoyed varieties of food by offering it to the Lord and then taking it as prasadam. Srila Prabhupada now comments. Similarly, if by the grace of the Lord we get such opulences as material wealth, fame, power, education, and beauty, it is our duty to consider that they are all gifts of the Lord and must be used for Krishna's service, not for our own sense enjoyment. Shukadeva Goswami continued. The learned Brahmana Sudama remained in this position, and thus Sudama's love and affection for Lord Krishna increased day after day. It did not deteriorate due to great opulence. Prabhupada now comments. Material opulence can be the cause of degradation, and it can also be the cause of elevation, according to the purposes for which it is used. If opulence is used for sense gratification, then it becomes the cause of degradation. And if opulence is used for the service of the Lord, then it is the cause of elevation. It is evident from Lord Krishna's dealings with Sudama Vipra that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very, very much pleased with a person who possesses Brahminical qualities. A qualified Brahmana like Sudama Vipra is naturally a devotee of the Lord. Therefore it is said, Brahmano Vaishnava. A Brahmana is automatically a Vaishnava, or sometimes it is said, Brahmana Pandita. Pandit means a highly learned person. Therefore, an actual Brahmin cannot be foolish or uneducated. Therefore, there are two divisions of Brahmanas, namely Vaishnavas and Pandits. Those who are simply learned are known as Pandits, but not yet devotees or Vaishnavas. Lord Krishna is not especially pleased with these Pandits. Simply the qualification of being a learned Brahman is not sufficient to attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only must a Brahmana be well qualified according to the requirements stated in scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but at the same time, a Brahmana must be a devotee of Lord Krishna. The vivid example is Sudama Vipra. He was a qualified Brahmana, unattached to all sorts of material sense enjoyment. And at the same time, Sudama was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of all sacrifices and penances, is very fond of a Brahmana such as Sudama Vipra. And we have seen by the actual behavior of Lord Krishna how much Krishna adores such a Brahmana Vaishnava. Therefore, the ideal stage of human perfection is to become a Brahmana Vaishnava like Sudama Vipra. Sudama Vipra realized that although Lord Krishna is Ajita, unconquerable, Lord Krishna nevertheless agrees to be conquered by his devotees. Sudama realized how kind Lord Krishna was to him, and Sudama remained always entranced, constantly thinking of Krishna. By such constant association with Lord Krishna, whatever darkness of material contamination had remained in Sudama's heart was now completely cleared away, and very shortly Sudama was transferred to the spiritual kingdom, which is the goal of all saintly persons in the perfectional stage of life. Finally, Shukadev Goswami has stated that all persons who hear this story of Sudama, Vipra, and Lord Krishna will learn how affectionate Lord Krishna is to the Brahmana devotees like Sudama. Therefore, anyone who hears this history becomes as qualified as Sudama Vipra. Repeating. Therefore, anyone who hears this history gradually becomes as qualified as Sudama Vipra, and subsequently one is thus transferred to the spiritual kingdom of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlad Ahlad Dayane, Hiranya Kashipur Vaksha, Shilatangana Kalae, Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsingo, Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsinga, Bahi Nrsingo, Hridaye Nrsingo, Nrsingham Adim Sharanang Prapadye, Tavakara Kamala Varei Nakam Adbhuta Sringam, Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam, Keshavadrita Arahadi Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita Nrsinga Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat.